Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and I'm delighted once again to be able to share a special moment with our good friend Max Foulkes in this splendidly appointed walk-in humidor at one of my favorite establishments, Davidoff of London. For those who may perhaps be unfamiliar with our previous videos in this unusual and unpopular series, Max has shown an incredible knack, indeed an unparalleled talent, for uncovering some of the hidden gems within Davidoff's formidable collection. These are cigars that may not always bask in the glorious limelight of glamour, instant recognition, and global acclaim, but nonetheless, they are delightful smokes that will intrigue and satisfy even the most discerning of palates. So join us as we pop into Davidoff of London to see what Max has in store for us. You know, it's always such a pleasure to be back in the humidor at Davidoff of London.
You're the best,
with Max. I mean, I think there are a few people that know the nooks and crannies of this humidor
Just
better than you.
Well, I try my best. At least I make it seem like I know what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, you certainly, do know what you're talking about. One of the things I love so much, of course, is your exploration in here.
Yes.
And, you and I mean, you're a little bit younger than I am, but I still consider myself at least, young in income. And so we have to be slightly, adventurous and thrifty in our selections of cigars because, as much as we'd love to smoke the Cohibas and the Trinidads and the limited editions, let's be honest, that's not what we smoke most days.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, in that respect, or furthering that, I'd like to show you a few things that are from big brands, no doubt you're familiar with, actually, from Partagas. I know you like the 89A, you like the Aristocrat as well. So not dissimilar in many respects from the Aristocrat is the...
I like the Aristocrat because I can find it.
Yeah. Well, this you can find here, so that's all right. But the Partagas Petit Corona or the Petit Corona Especial. So it's not quite a Petit Corona size like we know it. It's an Eminente. So that's it's the same gauge, just a tad longer. I mean, it's longer by something silly like 3 millimeters, but it makes all the difference,
That's right.
But it's I think it kind of it's in keeping with the rest of the line. So it's a full-bodied, full-flavored smoke, but a really lovely size, a very elegant size, really rich, deep flavor to it, and it's not your D4, E2, P2, and it's a good thing it's not those because you can hardly find those, for love nor money right now. So this is a cigar that you can find, well, at least here, and one I really enjoy smoking, and a size I know, no doubt you enjoy as well. Yeah.
I mean, when would you smoke one of these? Is this a lunchtime cigar?
All the time, morning till night. No. This for me is. I smoke one in the morning, but for me it's not a morning cigar. It's more of a lunch or even a dinner time cigar.
Okay.
And Petit Coronas, I think in the habanoscigars only last kind of 35 minutes, but I think 45 minutes is more of an average smoke time, and if it's filled nicely, could push it maybe even to an hour. I know the boss, Mr. Edward Sahakian, could make that last all day. So
well, he knows how to savor.
Yeah. He flirts with his cigars more than he does.
Well, I've seen you in here flirting with the cigars as well.
All the time. Yeah. But a fantastic smoke. And maybe we should look at something on the other side of the spectrum.
Please.
So I'll put that back for you, Kirby. Thank you. So this, other side of things, another very well-known brand, the Epicure #1 from Hoyo de Monterrey. So when people think Hoyo de Monterrey, they think Epicure #2, the Robusto, newer sizes now from the La Hoyo series, the Rio Seco and the San Juan. But rarely do people smoke the Epicure #1, which is it's a Corona Gorda. Kind of like outmoded dimensions. It's the same size as the Siglo 4, and no one really smokes a Siglo 4.
Yeah.
But I think because it's less popular, perhaps construction remains decent by Cuban standards. Yeah. And they always smoke well, very light, subtle floral blend. Should take you an hour, could take you over. But I love the 46 gauge. You know,
It's delicious.
It's a proper cigar.
Yeah.
And we've been out of stock of these for a while now, and we got like 8 left. So hopefully
we'll see how long this lasts.
Yeah, exactly. Don't put this video out too soon.
One of the things I think that you've helped introduce me to, really single-handedly more than anyone else, is that appreciation of the small ring gauge. And I remember the Foulkes and Son episode with you and your father talking about the Por Larrañaga Monte Carlo.
Oh, yeah.
And me thinking a 32 ring gauge cigar.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounded, I was like, it's a cigarette.
It is, yeah.
And then to see, you know, you and your father and smoke that and speak so highly of it, I said, I have to go try that.
That's the best.
That was that video and that experience of those Monte Carlos is really what, to me, dispelled this notion that, larger ring gauge cigars, or at least mid-40s, is kind of the de rigueur, and that, really, I mean, there's so much magic, at that slimmer ring gauge end of the spectrum.
Oh yeah, 100%. And in my opinion, you can get a great deal more flavor from a slimmer gauge.
Especially when you have the length.
Yeah, 100%. And, despite that slim gauge, if it's a long cigar like a Lancero or something like the Monte Carlo, they remain quite cool up until halfway. I mean, intensity builds, but up until then, they're very easy smoking cigars. Then you just slow down after a while. So
this is the trick.
Then heat up. Slim cigars. We're talking about slim cigars. The next one. I'll put that back for you, Kirby. The Monte Especial No. 2. Now that is your kind of size, isn't it?
That's beautiful.
So 38 gauge, a little over 6 inches. It's the same size as the Cohiba Coronas Especial. But like Hoyo de Monterrey, when people think Montecristo, they think Edmundo, Double Edmundo, Monte No. 2, big cigars, But rarely do they think Especial No. 2. There's the Especial No. 1, a Lancero, but difficult to find, so this will have to suffice,
So same ring gauge as the Especial No. 1.
Yes.
Slightly shorter.
Slightly shorter, yeah. And same blend, medium full strength blend. Some of the Montecristos, like the No. 4s and 3s, I really like, but they can sometimes be overly earthy, leathery, And this remains a very smooth smoke. A little peppery in the last third, but a really lovely cigar which we'll do for after lunch, dinner, perhaps not a morning cigar, but very much a cigar to smoke when you feel like smoking something proper,
Well, it's a beautiful construction with the pigtail.
That's great, doesn't it?
And it's an interesting point that you point out. It's effectively the same cigar as a No. 1, which can't be found. But you can still enjoy it just a few, centimeters less.
Exactly.
In the No. 2.
And you know what Edward would do? He'd take the No. 1 and he'd cut
Chop
it down.
half anyway.
Exactly. So this is basically, you don't need Edward to smoke this cigar.
That's right. But, he might still even chop this one.
He probably would, yeah. Yet to see him do that, but the time will come, when there's less time at his disposal, that will happen. But yeah, proper smoke, and I'm glad to show you around a few things that people perhaps aren't smoking. They should.
Well, that's, again, one of the great joys of Davidoff of London, of course, are the cigar merchants here like yourself that have such an incredible and intimate knowledge of these cigars. And so, it's a large humidor, and there's an incredible selection here. And having someone such as yourself, and of course any of the other members of staff, to kind of walk you through really helps, open the book and tell the stories behind each one of these cigars and really speak to the nuance of each one of these incredible creations. So Max, it's
Thank you very
always
much,
such a
Gabby.
pleasure.
You're the best.
We must smoke one of these soon.
Yeah, well, you've got to smoke that now. You have to. It's yours.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you.